Hello, Stages Performing Arts Academy. My name is Andrew Kuhlman, and I am the associate producer here at Stages. All of us at this organization are honored to be creating digital educational content so that you can continue your performing arts education while you are currently at home. So today, I thought it would be interesting for you to hear from one of the top actors in St. Louis, who is successfully putting on his Stages hat, who has successfully made this city his artistic home. So say hello to John Flack, and John, say hi.
Hi, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you so
Good.
far?
Good to see you. Good to talk to you.
Doing good, good. I like to hear that. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and start out with a quick bio for you, if you don't mind. We'll see if I have it good. So John made his debut on the Stages stage back in 1990 when he played the title role in Snoopy. Between then and now, John has been seen by Stages audiences in a cornucopia of shows like Whoopi, Camelot, My Fair Lady, Oklahoma, The Drowsy Chaperone, and more. John has also performed with many of STL's best professional theaters, including Hot City, The Black Rep, Shakespeare Festival St. Louis, Upstream Theater, Max and Louis, the Muni, and the New Jewish Theater. John has been named Best St. Louis Stage Actor by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch in 2015, and has been nominated for four St. Louis Theater Circle Awards, winning one for his performance in Sublime Intimacy. Ladies and gentlemen, let's chat with John Flack.
Hooray!
How are things at home, John Flack?
Yes. We're hanging in there, hanging out at home, sequestering ourselves,
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I thought it would be, as a St. Louis artist and professional myself, I thought it would be great for the students at home to hear from someone who's really made this his career. And you can tell that we are at home as I hear sirens on the street outside here in the Central West End.
Yeah, Dermot the dog might walk by in any moment.
That's why we're really doing the interview, is for a hopeful glimpse of Dermot.
Oh, I use him all the time just to draw attention to myself.
Exactly, right? Well, let's go ahead and get started. I wanted to start with a question about, what did your theater education look like, whether in high school or in out-of-school activities, things like that? What did theater look like for you in learning about it?
In learning about it, I really got interested in theater in the 9th grade. We had, back in those days, we had junior high school instead of middle school, so it was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade.
Yeah.
Well, in the 9th grade, I decided to try out for the school play, You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and I played Snoopy.
Oh!
Once again, yeah.
I got to reprise that role at Stages.
Yeah, and many years later, my first role at Stages, many years later.
So funny.
Anyway, I just kind of got the bug, and I got the theater bug at that time. Opportunities to study outside of our school. But so I started doing plays at school and a few at church. We had some little theatrical things that we would do at church as well. That was pretty much what I did during my high school years.
Yeah.
I then went to the Conservatory of Theater Arts at Webster University. Would have been my next training that I got.
Gorlocks? Am I right in that?
We were, they didn't even have, this is how, all of these questions are making me feel so old. We didn't even have the Gorlock in those days. And in fact,
the pre-Gorlock days.
It was. In fact, it was even pre-university. It was still just Webster College back in those days.
Wow. Okay.
A long time ago.
But still, it's it's literally one of the best training grounds for artists. Looking at some of the people that come out of there, it's spectacular.
I loved my experience there. Absolutely loved it. Still have some lifelong friends that I met at that time as well. Still keep in contact with and see some of them active in the business to this day. So it's neat. Yeah.
I love that. Now, did you take any training opportunities, classes, do anything with a place like the Academy at Stages outside of school?
Well, at that time, if there were those kinds of programs available, I was completely unaware of them.
Sure.
That's what I love about it. There was no Stages, so there was no Stages Academy. I don't think the Muni had their, what do they call
training program, the Muni Teens,
Muni Teens was not around at that time. This was before CASA and COCA. There are a lot more opportunities for young people today, which is a great thing.
It's one of my favorite things about St. Louis is that I feel like a lot of our educational opportunities here are for people of all ages, and that there are things that anyone can do. I mean, at stages alone, you can be preschool through high school and come learn all about the performing arts.
Which is fantastic. Gives you a place to get out and learn and meet people, which
I like to think so.
I think that's one of the most important things you can do in any endeavor, particularly in an artistic endeavor, is not only to study, but to meet people and to just rub elbows with other people involved.
100%. I love that one of my favorite days ever at Stages is when we can invite students from the Academy to come see our main stage productions.
It's one of our favorite days too.
Yes, yeah.
It's so exciting because generally they sit in the first maybe 2 or 3 rows. Mm-hmm. It's so exciting to look out and see all of those beautiful young faces in the audience. It's one of our favorite days too. So
I love that. All right, so let's see. Okay. So we've talked about your resume and your credits here in the St. Louis area a bit when I was giving your bio, but talk to us about some of your favorite acting moments, those ones that you go, this was a defining role for me.
That's an interesting question. It's a difficult question to ask because a lot of times my favorite role is whatever one I'm working on at that time.
I love that. That's the real working actor, yeah.
Just because that's the moment. But there have been a couple of things that have stood out for maybe not always just artistic reasons, mm-hmm. But if there's something layered on top of it. For example, I got to play Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz at the Variety Children's Theater.
Oh, such an amazing company.
Extraordinary experience. Because it's not only was it an artistic challenge and satisfying artistically, it was also satisfying just to be part of the Variety family.
Yeah.
To be doing, anytime that we can layer on all the things that are great about theater and live performance and then layer something else on top of it, education or outreach or those are the things that are become special to me.
It's really important for us to be able to do that. The accessibility of theater for any and all audiences is something that I know has always been a driver for me. I did one show with Variety, but no one ever saw me. I was down in the pit. I was one of the pit singers.
Oh, fantastic.
But no, Wizard of Oz I remember seeing that production. It's fantastic. And like all the roles I've seen you play, you were wonderful.
So that one kind of stands out a lot. What do I think of? Oh my goodness. And then there's some of I was in a production of the Normal Heart, which was a very meaningful production for me as well. Mm-hmm. Just for those of you who don't know, the Normal Heart takes place in the 1980s during the AIDS crisis in New York, and so it was very cathartic for me to revisit that time years later from a different perspective, from a perspective of having some age on me instead of going through it as a young person.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was very fascinating to me about that is we started getting. They had some special pricing for university students. It wasn't really the show's maybe not perfect for teenagers, but it was because of the many adult themes in it. But we started getting offering the tickets for university students. Washington University, St. Louis University, UMSL, and a few people took advantage of it. But then they told their friends about it, and more people came, and they told their friends about it. So by the third week it was just a 3-week run. By the third week, half the audience was these special tickets for university students. It was really that was especially meaningful to me that these young people were taking an interest in that history, and as they were largely unaware that these events had happened. So that was also very special to me.
I can't imagine, when I was in university, my thesis project my senior year was all about exploring the definition of the word love before and after the AIDS crisis in the plays of Larry Kramer, in the plays of Terrence McNally, in things like in Angels in America, plays like that. And looking into that, I can't imagine. I've always wanted to sink my teeth into an acting role like that. So I imagine that was such a wonderful challenge.
It was. It was emotionally draining, but it was a challenge. And as I said earlier, it was very cathartic. It was good to revisit that.
That's so cool.
In an artistic way, in a way that we could, express our feelings and stuff. And it's interesting that the play was written contemporaneously. It was written back in the 1980s, and that it holds up so incredibly well. It's very telling.
The dialogue still makes sense. It's very natural. It flows really well. Some of the character relationships are just spectacular and very. You look at them and you go, I know that person, or I know that type of person.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah.
So John, getting outside of the world of acting in a show, what about some of the training opportunities that are available for when you're out of school, you're a professional actor here? What are training opportunities that you take part in, or that you would give as a suggestion for an up-and-coming artist in St. Louis to take part in?
It goes back to what I said earlier about just rubbing elbows with people and getting out there and showing up and meeting other people, because that's where you hear and learn about opportunities that you may not be aware of just by looking at, message boards and such. So I seek out, anytime there is a development for professional performers, I seek those out. There's a theater professor at Washington University named Anna Maria Pileggi.
I knew you were going to bring this up. I've heard you talk about this before. Yeah.
She has when her schedule allows and when she can get a group of professional actors together, she has a professional training session, a training session for us, or acting class.
Yeah.
And she is just a marvelous, marvelous acting coach. Not necessarily a teacher, a coach. She gets up there and and it's wonderful to work with Anna Maria, but it's also wonderful to work with a group of artists who have committed themselves to be professional, to go forward as a career. So it's great to be in a room like that. Another one recently that I've really, really enjoyed is the Shakespeare Festival. St. Louis Shakespeare Festival.
Yes.
Has been running what they call a salon, and it meets every other Monday night. Tom Ridgely, the artistic director there at the Shakespeare Festival, is the facilitator, and I participated in 2 sessions. We study a play, read it, get scene partners. We study Shakespeare acting technique and method, and just once again, it's just terrific to be in a room. It's not, he calls it a salon because it really isn't a lecture or a class. It's a gathering of professionals, and we all just learn. You could just be a bump on the wall and just learn just by being in the room, just absorbing these, being in this room full of terrific artists and seeing what they do. And it's great to then participate and be, get up and play a scene and see what you can do with it and see what other people suggest and stuff. And it's a wonderful, supportive, and a very, very supportive group.
Yeah.
It's been great. So those are the kinds of things that I look for. Also, voice lessons are very important. There are some things that I should look for. Should I talk about those?
Yes, please. Give any kind of advice you want, even the things that you go, I wish I had done this.
I've always been, I'm a kind of clumsy. I'm a character actor. I don't consider myself a dancer. You're the same way. But do you think Andrew, do you think we should go find a dance class?
Definitely. I just don't want to hurt people.
I know. Most especially myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But dance lessons I think are, and there are great dance schools throughout the city where you can take these classes. I know Coca offers a number of adult professional dance classes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Here's my this is going to be an excuse. Okay, it's just an excuse. But when I am because I am a working professional actor, it's difficult to commit to those kinds of classes because we work at night.
Yes.
We work when the classes happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the other challenge, is finding it fit into our schedule.
Yeah.
But the honest truth is, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way to make it work.
Yeah. I think that one of the most important things is that I wish I had done when I was in high school or had been the age of a lot of the students coming to a place like Stages. I wish I had started creating some of those foundations then. I think
Yes.
that I fell in love with acting in high school, but fell more in love with the world of straight plays, and then found my love of musical theater as I got a little bit older. And so I always felt behind the eight ball. And so I wish I had been not afraid to just go out and try out for something like the programs that they offer at Stages, where I can take some of those dance classes and really start getting that vocabulary and that body work going.
Oh, absolutely. And we're both character actors. And so, we're generally not called upon to be, to be able to dance like someone who would be in chorus line or something like that. But man, to have those skills really makes you so much more marketable as a performer. And people who have those great skills, I think, have a lot more fun.
I think they definitely do. I think that's for sure. And I think that they get to go around and they just feel like they're more of a universally created actor.
Yeah. And I think they with that comes an increased level of confidence when you walk into an audition room.
Oh, sure. And so what about in terms of just like taking care of John? Like they always say one of the most important things is the actor's most important tools are their voice and their body. So what do you do to take care of those things? You said voice lessons, but.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's absolutely imperative to maintain your health and your strength and your cardiovascular system.
Yeah.
It's, even if you're not a dancer like me, just a mover, you have to be able to breathe through. You have to be able to keep up with with dancers who are 26 years old when you're my age. No, it's terribly important. I have over the years seen the difference between the performer, the actor who maintains good physical and mental health, and those who don't maintain good physical and mental health. The people who don't burn out.
It's so interesting, and I think it's just one of those important things. Like, I know I've been really getting into, and I've been using my time at home actually to take yoga classes through Facebook Live and different apps and different videos on YouTube. And I never thought I was a yoga person, but it allows me to breathe in different ways and connect with myself in different ways.
Yoga is, for me, I started practicing yoga. I came to it kind of quite late myself. I think it was 46 when I started practicing yoga. I've always been one of the, more of a, cyclist and, get on the treadmill and get, lift weights and kind of like your traditional American, types of workout, I've always, it's easy for me to say this, but I've always enjoyed that. But it was in my little YMCA and I stumbled into a yoga class at that time and I absolutely loved it. I practiced yoga. I try to do 6 days a week. I can't say I'm perfect at that, but I practice almost every day. I can recommend some of my favorite YouTube teachers to you as well. So
please do please give some great YouTube teachers.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that one. Yoga is for me almost one of the main things that I do, because it keeps the body flexible and lithe, and it keeps you able to move. And depending on how vigorously you practice, it can also be it's not the best cardio workout, but it can be a good cardio workout. But the benefits of it, as you said, with breath control and keeping the body supple, and keeping and working on the posture and building the core. It's for me, in my life, it is absolutely essential. My yoga practice. I love it.
I love that. I love, there's so many different things that you can do to strengthen your body, your mind, all the different aspects that go into taking on a role and doing all that. But let's move into, talk to us a little bit about, you are a member of Actors Equity, the Actors Union. What is it like being a member of that organization here in St. Louis? How does that make things different?
Well, I joined the union back in 1988. So I've been a member for quite some time. I got my card at the Repertory Theater of St. Louis doing their Imaginary Theater Company tour.
Oh my gosh, yes, yeah.
So, which was those are really fun gigs, touring to the different schools with shows. Here's what the union does for me. It guarantees a wage when you're working. A lot of times in our business, even at my age, I'm approached by people who say, hey, you want to do this project for me? There's no pay for you, but there's great experience. Well, experience doesn't help me pay my bills, you know? And I have a lot of experience, by the way. So anyway, so when it's a union gig, you're going to get paid, and you're going to get paid. It's not a tremendous amount of money, but you're going to be paid a decent amount of money. Also, with the union, we get benefits from the union. We have a pension fund. So when you work, I have, when I'm ready to retire in a few years, it's not going to be, once again, it's not going to be a huge amount, but I'm going to receive a pension from the union, and that's going to be very helpful. Here's the big one. We get health insurance as a member of the union. I can't tell you how grateful I am for that benefit.
Sure.
As we know, healthcare costs have just skyrocketed, and we have, as members of Actors Equity Association, we enjoy a really good union healthcare plan. Very important.
One of the things I love about Equity, we work with Equity members and the Equity company quite a bit at Stages, is they're always, the care and protection they take for their acting company members is just, and their theater companies, because I mean, the theater companies are the ones that supply the work. So you take care of each other in turn. And I think it really is, it's an honorable organization.
Oh, absolutely. That is one of the, safety is one of the foremost issues in Michael Hamilton's mind, who is our artistic director and our director. He takes time in the first day of rehearsal to talk about safety every single production. Wear the proper shoes, warm up your body. Do not start dancing without doing a proper warm up. I mean, he lectures a room full of professionals on safety.
I like when he mentions his notes on St. Louis is like the king town of seasonal allergies. So he warns everyone to be ready for those.
Be ready for allergies. We get a lot of wonderful performers who are accustomed to living in New York, which has a higher latitude than St. Louis. The sun is stronger here. It is. And he says, watch out, wear your sunscreen because you will get sunburned. And he doesn't want people, he is concerned about the look of the show. Yes, he doesn't want people sunburned out there, but he's more concerned that that sunburn will hurt the person.
Yes, yeah. And when you're
cause
hurt
physical
by
pain.
Yeah, even if it's a sunburn and you're hurt by it, it's distracting you from part of your acting and your character, all those things. Yeah.
Yeah. They're very, yes, Stages is very, very careful about the health and safety of everyone is encouraged. If you feel the slightest thing here, they have ENTs they can refer, particularly people coming in from out of town who don't have their healthcare providers here in St. Louis.
Yeah.
But they're, say, here we have an ENT we can send you to. They want to get those things taken care of right away. It's not, I think it's absolutely in line with any other highly physical profession. Sports teams take the physical condition of their athletes.
Take care of your players if there isn't a game. Take care of your actors if there isn't a show.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And if somebody does get injured and and can't perform, it throws a monkey wrench into the entire operation.
Yeah,
understudies have to switch, and this person has to go there, and it becomes a real challenge.
Yeah,
it's much better if everyone's just safe.
Yeah, it just stick to the status quo, as I believe they say in High School Musical. But so speaking of companies like Stages, companies like the Rep, all these companies you've worked for, What sources do you use here in St. Louis to find out about upcoming auditions, about things that are coming up that you might be interested in working on?
Well, here's one of the big benefits of being a member of Actors Equity Association is that there's a wonderful website run by Actors Equity. Back in the old days, it used to do it by telephone hotline, but all of the auditions for equity actors, for union actors, are listed right there. And I visit that Actors Equity, audition page, particularly in the in this audition season. But I visit that every day, just to see what's coming up. Things have changed a lot. Back in the old days, we used to have to get it was the big one back in the old days was the Riverfront Times. You'd flip to the back of the back section of the Riverfront Times, and they had an audition, in the classified advertisement. All the auditions were listed in there. Now there are websites, and I rely primarily on the Actors Equity website.
And I know for non-equity members, there's two major ones.
I look at those too.
Yeah, stlauditions.com is a big one. And then there's the Metro Theater Group on Facebook, which is a huge resource I've seen for theater companies, actors, people posting about things. I rely on that quite a bit.
I look at both of those too. My primary one is the equity, but I look at both of those too because they also, those other two websites also have opportunities other than acting listed on there. I don't know, they may need directors or costumers or just like, it's just fun. It's a fun way to keep up with the community.
Well, and it's exactly like you were saying, it's so important to get to know the other people and the other artists in this town. And then sometimes I love that they'll post questions that you might have had but never thought to ask. Or they'll post resources, and you get to learn from the other people in your own town and learn what I'm not alone in thinking this or wondering this. I think it's a good thing.
Oh, yeah. It's just fun to see. And it's also, even if there are things that you can't do for schedule reasons or whatever, it's a great way to keep up, to see what people are up to, see what's going on in town. And there's a lot going on in St. Louis.
There's a lot going on. And speaking of that, do you, in acting, sometimes it's a necessity, and have you in your career, or do you now, do you have any kind of side gig, is the word that they call it? Yeah.
Of course I do.
Yeah. Okay, so talk to us about those. Yeah.
Let me preface that by saying, I'm going to go back to when I was in the conservatory at Webster University many, many years ago. It was very much, you just study this. There was kind of two camps. Don't do anything but theater camp. And then there's the camp of, no, you have to have it. So I think it used to be in the don't do anything but theater camp, but now I'm not. I just admire people who have marketable skills, who can do things other than. And so, I have over the years developed a few other marketable skills. One of the things I do, this is such a weird niche-y thing that I do, I do real estate photography. I love photography.
I love John's photography. I'm just going to say this right now. I'm a huge real estate nerd. Like, I love residential architecture. And when I see John post some of his photos, that's when I get the most excited. Yeah. Yeah. So it's been a really fun way, a side gig. I had to take classes. I had to learn the techniques, and I had to learn, I had to buy all the equipment, specialty lenses and cameras and lighting equipment and all these kinds of things. But that is certainly one of the things that I do, but I do many things. And I also work at the Washington University School of Medicine as a standardized patient, which is really, really a cool gig. It's really fun. Get to work with medical students, and we work, our primary focus is working on their investigative techniques and what they used to call bedside manner. They don't call it that anymore. But just how they deal with patients and the best ways to deal with certain situations. Yeah, and it's really, that's really a fun thing to do. It's a great way. It's a fun way to use acting skills in another event, outside of the theater. Well, and I think that's so important too, because I had a professor in college, Steve Snyder, who always said that theater is about the day something happened, and that something is rarely ever theater.
Yeah.
It's telling a story that moves from the world of history or comes from science or comes from literature. And so being this well-rounded person makes you a better theater artist.
There's no doubt in my mind that that's true anymore. People who have other interests and expertise outside of theater are much more interesting actors in my point of view. And the way I see it. There's an actress in town who I just think she is so terrific, and she has a doctorate and does scientific research.
I think that's amazing.
During the day, she does medical research, and she's just a fabulous actress and works all the time.
Yes.
She doesn't work, she can't, because she has a full-time gig, she can't do, the rep or stages in the muni, but she does. We know another actress who has her, is it her master's, Jen Thebe Quinn?
Oh, yes, in theology, I believe.
Theology.
Yes, yeah.
She runs the Catholic Center at Catholic Student Center at Washington University.
I think that's
one of the workingest actresses in town.
That's one of my favorite things about St. Louis theater is that there are so many different levels and niches that you can get into. And so no matter what, you might have a day job, which I have a day job, but I still, whenever I can try and find an acting gig or a directing gig that can fit in with my schedule, I do it. And there are opportunities for me to do that. I think that's such a beautiful thing about our community.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. A lot of these actors who I work with at stages and other places from New York. You can't live in New York City without having a side gig. And the more expertise somebody has in a field, they have a much easier way a go of it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not out there battling for all the good server jobs. If you know how to do coding, for example.
Exactly.
I know an actor who does coding.
Yes.
Who writes code, and he doesn't have the financial stresses that a lot of us do.
Yeah. Well, so here's a question that I think a lot of people are thinking about right now. It's a difficult time for all of us. We are navigating the uncharted waters of this temporary new normal of staying at home a lot more than usual. What would you suggest, or what do you do as some exercises or things to strengthen your performing arts skills, your acting skills while you're at home? What are some of the things you would suggest for actors to do?
So I just had, thank you for asking. We talked about it earlier, variety theater. They are just having their auditions, and because of the, stay-at-home ruling,
ordinance,
they had to do their auditions online.
Okay.
So when we recorded, they sent out the material they wanted us to see, and we were in charge of self-taping, self-recording our audition, and sending it in.
Wow.
And it included, there was a real dance combination. I didn't have to do that, but I had to do the character version. I had to learn a couple of
little
steps, and put them on tape, play the music. So, and this is more and more, and not only because of the circumstances we're in now, but this is becoming more and more common, having, doing things at home, auditioning at home. And so that's a skill that you need to have. I know that's a little not exactly what you asked, but.
No, I think that's brilliant. The idea of being home and self-taping something, sending it to a friend, even if it's just going, okay, well, my general audition is this, this, and this. Putting those pieces together, sending it to some artists you respect and trust, asking for their opinions, and then trading that back and forth. That is something you could do at home that strengthens your audition, which is the real work.
Yes. So anyway, when I was preparing that audition and I was singing at home, it occurred to me, oh my gosh, I haven't been maybe singing as much as I ought to be, to keep the, because I try to sing several times a week for, just to keep it going, keep the voice going.
Yeah.
I haven't, even though I have been diligent about practicing yoga and getting out to run and getting out to ride my bike and things like that, I think so that was a good thing for me. And I think what you suggest is really neat. It's also, I don't know, on Facebook and YouTube, I don't know if you've been following, there's been the Quarantine Cabaret, and it's been
fun.
so much fun to watch, to see what artists are doing, what performing artists are doing. And also because I'm lucky enough to be friends on Facebook with all these great musical theater performers.
Yeah.
It's just been really cool to see people exercising that muscle, keeping that going. Like just recording the song at home, or, to share with friends. And at first I was like, I did not first, but I was like, is that just an attention getting thing? And I thought, no, I don't think it is. I think it's a desire to share, and a desire to communicate and reach out to other people, and a desire to keep the creative process and the creative exploration going.
Yes. One of the things I've been loving seeing is Shakespeare Festival St. Louis has been releasing these amazing videos, and they did a recording of their current education tour of Cymbeline, which is a lesser known Shakespeare play, but it's a fantastic piece. And so many great St. Louis artists were in this, and they had to unfortunately cancel their tour early. But watching great theater like that is so important. And if you look, like the National Theatre of London just released a bunch of their pieces. Broadway HD is releasing. I think that this is a great time for actors, theater artists of any ilk can look at those things and learn so much from watching these just great pieces.
Watching them, and I think it's a fantastic opportunity to read plays.
There we go. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it's a great opportunity to listen to music in a different way than we do now. Where's my, I listen, like when I was just out on my bike, I had my earbuds in, and I had my, music playing. That's kind of the way I listen to music most of the time.
Me too.
But there's a kind of a deeper way of listening. When you had to like put an album or a CD into a machine, there's a little bit of a ritual to that.
It's a process.
And not through earbuds, but through actual proper speakers. So this is a great time to put on to listen to an entire Broadway show from beginning to end.
From overture to finale. Yeah.
Just put it on, lay down on the sofa, read the liner notes, close your eyes, and listen to the whole thing. It's something that I don't do as much as I used to, but now that we have more time,
why not?
That would be a thing to do. You could do it with Shakespeare too. It's a great way. It's a great way for me, it's a great way to read Shakespeare is to have the text in front of me and listen to a good recording of it.
Well, I know one of this weekend, a bunch of friends and I are actually getting together through Zoom and taking a script of a play, and we're actually just assigning parts and doing a little reading of a play that we've all been wanting to read. But I remember back in college, in theater history classes, they would go, get your friends together and read this out loud, especially if it's Shakespeare. Shakespeare is, back in those days, they said, go hear a play, not go see it.
That's right.
Hear it.
Yeah, you went to go hear a play, not to see a play.
Exactly. But John, I want to leave us on that note and say thank you so much for your time today. And then one last thing, do you have one piece of advice to someone who really wants to make a career of the theater here in St. Louis and be a professional working artist? What's the last piece of advice you would leave them with?
Show up. Go to classes, go to auditions, go see plays, show up.
I don't think there's a better way to say it. That was pretty brilliant. I liked it. Yeah. Well, John, thank you so much to everybody who joined us today to listen to this guy right over here talking and saying hi. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
And also thank you for our team at the Stages Performing Arts Academy had this idea to continue performing arts education in this way, and I'm so proud of them for doing so. So thank you for joining us as a partner in that. And we look forward to seeing you on stage again soon.
You're looking for God's ears.
All right. I will talk to you soon, Mr. Flack.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, Andrew.